Hey guys, welcome back. So today we got 2022 GV70. It's 3.5 turbo. Um, right now we have concern about customer complaint is while driving. She said that there's a traction light on, but as you can see here, we got the triangle here. We're just gonna go through to the menu. Where's that? It's telling me that there's a limited slip differential. So let me turn this off and then turn it on. So we got here a warning, check limited slip differential. So I got this car last night. I was driving it, didn't have any fault code or anything, and then they came back because we got this warning light. So I scanned this vehicle and found that we have a issue with the motor wire open. So I'm just going to go through with the scan tool. So we got the code here, motor wire electrical fault. So as per the service information, that's detecting that there's an open wire on the circuit. So I got this diagram on the printout. So our concern is this guy here. This is our motor, right? And this is the circuit. You have 3 wires. The other wire will be the ground shield, as you can see there, ground shield. And you got 2 wires. That's just varying the voltage, right? So this car is equipped with electronic limited slip differential. So depends on the driver input. There's a computer for the ELSD, and then what will happen there is once he calculated all the inputs and everything, he sends it to the motor, right? And through this motor it will pump the fluid, and then it's either he decides whatever the clutch inside the differential, and by then sends a proper amount of power side to side for our rear wheels, right? So I'm just gonna go here. Let's go to our data. I went to our different GV80s who was equipped with ELSD2. What I noticed there is, let me just go here. Computed command torque, computed motor duty, motor current. What else? Okay, and then I'm just gonna put temperature. So as you can see here, on a regular normal car without a fault code, this amp reading should have 1 at least, right? And our computed duty for the motor should around be 10 to 20%. So let me graph this so that we can see. I'm just gonna engine off there, and we're gonna start the car. Okay, as you can see there, as you can see here, let me stop that. As you can see here that it went turn on and then off and on and then off. So on our motor current, that doesn't have anything at all. It just says 0 there. This is 0, right? I think what's going on here is he's looking for that other signal to see if he has to, supply more voltage or current to that motor, since computer knows that there's something wrong or an open. That's why he cut it off, and we got on the end we got the zero everything. So now we're just gonna determine what's going with the circuit. So this ELSD control module is located at the trunk, so on the behind the trim pieces there. This guy is at the bottom of the car. What else? And then F24, that's an extension wire. So from the side, right rear side of the wheel, there's a big connector there, and then it goes down all the way at the back of our rear subframe, and it splits to 3 connectors for our pressure sensor, our temperature sensor, and a motor. So first we're gonna check if we can find something, because I didn't see any specification, let's say for the motor windings, because it's just a motor, so it should have windings there, and we should have a specification for resistance, but I didn't see any in the service information. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna lift off the vehicle, and let's unplug this connector first, and let's see the voltage on here, 1 and 3, right? So the service information said that it should be around 1 to 4 volts. That's the voltage reading for this. So we're gonna look, and let's say if we find voltage reading coming out, right? Or maybe we don't know if it's gonna be defaulted, since we have a fault code. If it's gonna be defaulted to 0 volts, right? So I'm gonna lift off the vehicle, and let's see if we have something going on this wire. Okay, so we're underneath the vehicle. As you can see here, this is our motor for the ELSD. There's our connector there. Our other 2 sensors there. Our pressure sensor there. On top, at the bottom, that's our temperature sensor. It's gonna go up on that harness there on top, and it's gonna go here. Up this joint connector here. So what we can do is we can remove this, and then we're gonna measure some voltages, because this is going up to our computer, and see if we can find something. Hey guys, so I'm here right now at the right rear tire. I remove our tires so that for easy testing, and also this vehicles that if you keep it ignition on, it will just shut off by itself to save the battery. So now our code went into history, so if I'm just gonna unplug this, I will know that I have a good signal going to my computer, right? So if I'm just gonna unplug this quick, so I unplug that. Now I'm just gonna rescan this, and I should have 3 codes for this, for the old temp, for motor, the pressure, right? And then what I noticed on this one, if you unplug it back in, since the system knows that it's connected to that sensor, I'm just gonna rescan it. It should go to history, but our motor, as you can see here, it all went to history. So now what I'm thinking right now is on this one, that my signal from here going to the computer is good, right? But just double check that. We'll double check this pin 1 and pin 3 for our motor, and let's check our voltages there. So pin 1 should be these guys here, and then I'm gonna connect to our ECU ground. So okay, so we'll see that meter there. Okay, you guys see that meter. So my ground will be on pin 9. So, oh no, my ground, I don't have ground here, right? I can use maybe the motor shield ground. We can try that, or I can use the pressure sensor ground. We'll see. But let's measure these two first, 1 and 3. So I got 5 volts there, as you can see. I just inverted. That's my 5 volts. I'm just gonna double check again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I'm gonna go to 5, that's my pressure sensor ground, number 5, and then on the power I should have 5 volts there, so it's showing 8 volts. Could be an 8 volt signal. And number 6, 5, 6. 6 is a signal, 5 volts. So I'm using a sensor on the motor shield ground, 1.7, 3.8. As I can see there, 1.7 plus 3.8, more or less, they equal to 5 volts, right? So far at least we have voltage coming from the EC and going to this one. So now we're gonna go to the rear differential and see if we have voltage in that connector to the motor. If not, we're gonna check our motor, so pin 1 and 3, and let's see if we have some continuity there, or resistance itself. Okay, so we're underneath the car. All I can do is, before I remove that, maybe I'm just gonna wiggle the harness here and see if we'll get the code, because right now there's no codes right now. We went to history, so I'm just gonna move all this harness. So I don't know if we have an open wire on this harness. So far I've been moving this harness, and so far I don't have codes. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna remove our connector here for motor, and let's see if we have the same reading on the one that we check on the right rear side. So I'm using a pick because the connector is hard to reach. Okay, so that's out. Oh shit, you're using one pound? Wow. Now I'm just gonna check our meter again. So in our motor, as you can see there, we got 8 volts. So we got 1.7 other pins.
Ready to serve.
And 8 volts, right? So let me double check that the one that we just tested, because we're checking 5 volts in there. Make sure that I went to the right pin. Alright guys, so I made an assumption earlier that this is number 1 to 4 and 5 to 8. Right, so I just went to our schematic diagram, and the 1 is on this side here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can check that again. So the 1 is this one here, and number 3. So we got 7.31 volts. And we got 8 volts there from the shield. The other side 1.7, right? So we got the same reading from here going to our rear differential. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try engine running and see if we have the same reading, because right now it looks like we have the same reading, right? Or I can check our motor there and see. So I just made a connection here. I was checking our, I'm connected to our motor. So from pin 1, this guy here, and 3. Right, so let's see the resistance there. So I got 17.4 ohms. So I don't know if that's a good reading. So I'm gonna try to engine running and see. Okay, so now what I'm gonna try to do is I still don't know what's the spec on that resistance on the motor. So I'm just gonna go here. Now we're gonna do clutch learning reset. Let's see if it will go through, or what's the option in there. Okay, so let me try this. Okay, so it's just doing that. Because I thought that when I'll do that, that motor will move something, but I didn't hear anything. So that's not a valid test, but at least I know that my computer is okay because it received that function. And we don't have any what do you call that? we don't have any actuation test. I'm gonna try this air bleeding mode, because maybe this one will try to pump out the fluid there. So engine idle. So let's see if this guy will not give us any codes. I have once I start the vehicle, got me all those warning light in the cluster again. So let me try to do this and see. Okay, so there's a failure on the LSD. So what I'm gonna do next is, since the fault happens after I start it up, right? Ignition on, there's nothing. I guess I'm gonna hook up my scope and see what's going on that voltages, right? And maybe if I can find another GV70, maybe I'll compare with the resistance. Because that motor is part of the circuit. So if the resistance is too high on that motor, that can cause open circuit or something like that. So I'm gonna hook up my scope on that side and see if we can find something interesting.